Welcome back to another episode of Down Under the Crossbar podcast, Arsenal from an Aussie angle, and we are wrapping up what I messaged you, Steve Peios, at halftime as the best half of football I've seen Arsenal play this year in the league. 2-0 at halftime over Burnley. A couple of days on, or about a day on. How are you? How are you feeling about? We're just over a quarter of the way through the season. We've got a good lead over City and Liverpool. I think the table's starting to take shape as we thought it would. Sort of, we had Bournemouth and Sunderland up second, third on the table. It's the big three now rising to the top. We all had wins over the weekend, City and Liverpool. How are you? How are you feeling after week 10?
Yeah, good morning, BB, and hello to everybody. It's another good weekend for us, no doubt about it. I think you must have been preempting, BB, all of the journalists and everyone else. Funny that you are a journalist, but you're preempting everybody coming out as they did after the game and saying that it was the best performance all year round. And I thought that was really true. I thought the first half was magnificent. I thought could have easily been five and probably should have been. I mean, I was saying, to you and saying to a few other boys in a few of the chats that Saka at his best takes both of those chances. I mean, the one on the right foot was a little bit harder, but the one on the left foot, I mean, that's a sitter. That's what Haaland's taking like every single time at the moment. Those open one-on-ones on his favourite left foot. So it could have easily been 4 or 5. Trossard had one off the line, of which we both at the same time went, wow, how has that not gone in? So could have easily been 4 or 5, and I think that wouldn't have been, it wouldn't have been disrespectful to Burnley or to us. I thought we were very, very, very good. Gyökeres, best performance in an Arsenal shirt, just bullied, harried, dominated a team that before today had only lost once in the last 18 months. I think they had it was an unbeaten season at home last year in the Championship, BB. It was only Liverpool with that unlucky penalty that got the win against them. Now, people are going to say it was only Burnley and all of that sort of thing. However, they are the type of team that have had an unbeaten start at home. Apart from that game against Liverpool, they've had some good wins this year, and they're a better side under Scott Parker than what we may have seen under Sean Dyche in years gone past. In the fact that they're a little bit more resilient when it comes to creating chances, they're a little bit less. All right, we're just going to purely set out to defend. In my opinion. So that's a big part of it. So look, great result, mate. Very, very happy. I think we can't take anything away from it other than a workmanlike second half. I thought we really saw signs of how important a big squad is in the second half, and that was right. This is an interesting one for you. You'd be very interested to hear this. So a couple of the English boys who, there's always so many ITKs over there in the nose, right? They all love to think that they're connected in. But a guy I know over there who does seem to have some reasonable takes every now and again, he said that there's been a bit of a directive going around the medical group at the moment, and that's gone into the players and said, if you feel absolutely anything, we have a squad now finally with, 25 quality players. If you feel absolutely anything, you're coming off. There is no risking anything, in those years where we've had, only 16 or 17. If you feel anything, you come off. So the reason I say that, apparently Gyökeres is perfectly fine. He just had a little bit of a slight, could have been like a knock even or a sore quad or something like that. No, off you come. Zubimendi's gone, you know what? I can feel the load catching up now. And I think as a professional, like before I push it for another 20 and tear a hammy like Saka did 6 weeks ago, I'm going to come off. And that's positive. And I think for us as well, knowing that Madueke and Havertz, it looks like a back after the break for the Tottenham game, which is huge. And Odegaard's not far behind that as well. I think Martinelli's not a serious one either. You're looking at there's going to be probably 5 or 6 guys that miss out every week now, which is where you'll probably see guys like your Dowmans miss out, your Norgards miss out, perhaps your Wanieris, starting to miss squads, which is a bit of a shame for them. But at the same time, it shows the depth that we have. So in summary, mate, very, very happy. I thought we were very, very good, as you said, first half. And now we look ahead to a game on Wednesday morning, which I'm really excited about, Slavia Prague. Away, they'll be up for it. I think it'll be an early game over there, so they'll be up for it 4:45 in the morning for us Wednesday. Very excited, but you must be pretty impressed, mate, especially with that first half. Second half as well, I really like the workmanlike nature of the fact that we can just see it out now. Absolutely close the door. Not a chance of succeeding. Conceding even a shot on goal. Very, very positive.
Yeah, the whole season so far, I think, can be summed up in it was in 88th or 87th minute moment where I think we were down in Burnley's box. I think it was a corner. Arsenal had a corner. Burnley cleared the ball. It's one long ball, two long balls, and you see 10 guys sprinting back into the box to defend, to keep a clean sheet, to not have any shots on even on target. And you think back to a week earlier, similar situation. Who did Chelsea play? And there was just no one tracking back. All right, who did
Sunderland,
Chelsea?
where they lost.
The late
Yeah.
winner, I think it was.
Sunderland,
And ball held up in the box for 3-4 seconds, and Chelsea, can see like the difference just in the mindset, not just between Arsenal and Chelsea, but between Arsenal and past Arsenal sides and squads. I think summed up perfectly in that exact moment. The other one where I messaged you after Gyökeres opened the scoring, set piece FC. It's not just Arsenal set pieces that we score off. That was a Burnley throw-in, counter attack, and Rice scores the second straight from a Burnley set piece. So yeah, look, couple of things I want to ask you. First, I want to ask you, how are you feeling? 10 games in, 6 points over City, 7 points over Liverpool and Bournemouth. If we think back to this time a week ago and 2 weeks ago, like there was commentary, there was stories, there were headlines about Arsenal's got this wrapped up. They're going to run away with it. How are you feeling now? Like City and Liverpool both had a win. Liverpool, you can't be going that badly if you've lost 4 on the trot and you're still third on the table. They break the losing streak. We've all got questions over Liverpool. I still have questions over whether Man City are too reliant on Erling Haaland. But are we as confident this week as we were last week and 2 weeks ago?
Mate, that you're really delving into some big, deep questions for us, and you're going to have to allow me to ask you the same thing back. My responses in a couple of parts here, BB, is I personally, at the moment, am wildly overcautious. Like I'm at a point where I'm, wrap up. It's almost like if you were virtually with me, like me and you are sort of shaking hands virtually at 3:53 in the morning, saying, "Well done, see you next week." I just feel like there's no crowing from us whatsoever. Very, very happy. I'm not going to lie. Like it's been, we haven't even conceded a goal since Newcastle, which was, September, right? 28th of September. We're into November now. We haven't, dropped points in City, which was, I think, after the international break, which was the week or two before that, I think it was, wasn't it? The 10th of September, 17th of September, something like that. So it's a situation of being extremely happy and content with the way things are going. But mate, we're 14 games into the season. If we go deep in all the cups, we'll end up with probably close to 60, which means we've only played a quarter of the football and nothing is won yet. What bothers me is still, sadly, is that the mentality factor for us is, can we get over the line? And there's a part of me that really wants us. This might sound, and I'm not going to cop this from anybody, but if we're 15 points clear in February, I don't care. I don't even say, the league's boring and this and that. I almost feel like we need a lead of maybe 8 to 10 at worst by March to make sure that if we do have a couple of games, we can limp over the line. We saw the collapse in 22-23 where, we went away to Liverpool, got a 2-2, still was quite confident leaving that game going, okay, we should have won, but, good result at Anfield. We then went to West Ham the week after, and realistically, we dominated them in the first half, should have been 4 up. We're only 2 up. I think it was, we were only 1 up, got back to 1-1, 2-1 up. Saka misses a pen for 3-1, and then we concede, sloppily, and then we drew again at home to Palace after being 3-1 down. Or Palace or Brentford, Southampton maybe. Well, without giving all the anecdotal information, we're in a position where I feel like we're only a bad result or 2 away from a bit of a mentality collapse. And I know that sounds weak, but I just feel like we haven't got over the line yet. So to answer your questions, mate, I'm really overcautious. I'm not very good at doing one day at a time in my general life. I'm always looking ahead and trying to keep myself busy in what's coming up. But I've never been more one game at a time in the context of Arsenal right now. It's just one game at a time. Sunderland on the weekend, which if they beat Everton tomorrow at home, which they're every chance of, BB, they'll be second. Then it becomes second hosting first in the Premier League. on a Saturday night, and you see what those late games do things to crowds, those TV times. I thought, a benign, 3 p.m. Saturday at Burnley is always better for us than a Monday night, or as they say, a Tuesday, Wednesday night, a wet and windy night at Stoke, Burnley, whatever. We got Sunderland the late game Saturday. We saw Liverpool's Saturday night crowd was really up for it versus Villa, even though I thought Villa were pretty good for the first 30 minutes. We saw City's crowd really get up for it against Bournemouth last night. I only watched the mini this morning of that one, but they look really up for it. We know City go on massive late runs, BB, from sort of February, March if they're fit. Pep's already, you can see him. He's just winksing it, you know what I mean, at the 600. I mean, they're a lot further back at the moment. They're at the 1,000 at the moment, or the 800. But you can see that he's just winksing it at the moment, going, I know I can run you down if you don't have a big enough lead. We go to City in March, away from home, where we haven't won since, a Giroud Cazorla double back in 2013. So, it's a long way to go. There's so many tough games, mate. So I'm wildly overcautious. We've got a lot of games out of the way that are tough. Liverpool away, Newcastle away, United away. Realistically, we've got Chelsea away soon. We've got Tottenham away back into the year and City away. There's not too much more that should really bother us away from home, as good as we are. So sorry for the long answer. My turn to ask you, but way too cautious, mate. We're realistically, in my mind, I would love to have this wrapped up like Liverpool did in April, and have it, 5 games to spare. So we've got nothing to worry about. And I think the fact that we're just picking up points is so important. And this weekend will be another massive test.
Likewise, I am a bit of a pessimist, just like, or a realist, maybe, I don't know. But again, super cautious for me. Okay, very happy. Got to take it. I do feel also you need to try and enjoy these moments. And sometimes, post game, I love going on social media and seeing some of the memes and the jokes and the reaction. So I am enjoying it. I am trying to enjoy it because it's never felt like this. This never felt that quite that it's a real possibility in the way it is this season. So the things I'm telling myself to try and not sort of be too pessimistic and down to the dumps is, you mentioned the collapse of a couple of years ago, and even we mentioned every couple of weeks the injury crises over the last recent times. So the depth in the squad that we have now, that's one thing I'm telling myself. Look, we got guys out now that Havertz, Jesus, Madueke, who only played either haven't played or have only played a handful of games, that will come back. So an injury-induced collapse, I'm hoping that's sort of staved off this season. The set piece thing, like if you got something that you can go back to that works, makes me feel a lot more comfortable. The other thing is we're just out of about a month of games where we've racked up 3 points, 3 points, 3 points. Last season, those were games we dropped either 3 or scraped through with a draw. So these are the things I'm telling myself. But again, another thing, maybe let's revisit this question in a month or so, because we got Slavia Prague away midweek this week, Sunderland away in the league, then international break, Tottenham, and then Bayern Munich, and then Chelsea.
Massive.
It's a busy and tough few weeks. And like you say, I think Madueke and Havertz are both back after the break. Don't know about Jesus. So maybe some of that is alleviated. I know you can just sort of tell as well that you don't even need to look at them. Like, you just know that Gyökeres has played a lot of football. Zubimendi, Rice gets through so much work. So the next month is I know we said the last month with the points we lost last season, but the next one is, I suppose, the next sort of foundation, the next building block.
And then whilst we have Brentford at home, Wolves at home, and then I'm not too worried about Everton away just before Christmas, but we've got Aston Villa away in an early kickoff as well on I think it's the Saturday the 6th, early game, the 12:30 lunchtime, Villa Park. What I do want to ask you, and I've been waiting to ask you this, is that you've had a lot of experience in talking to high-level coaches, high-level players at the highest level. What do you think from a mentality perspective do we need to do to get over the line? Because last year we had too many patches of inconsistent form. It hurt us with what I'd call a semi-injury crisis. The year before, we had that major injury crisis where we just had a squad of about 15. We did go on that crazy 16-game run, but we got hurt in the first 20 games of the year when we just didn't have any depth and got hurt by big absences. The year before that, I feel like maybe it was a bit more of a mentality one, the one I'm talking about with Liverpool, West Ham, Southampton at home that year, because we lost Saliba in the last 3 months of the year. And look, Rob Holding, God love him, he did some great things for us. He started an FA Cup final, right, and won us that in 2020. But he was really, really outworked, you could see in the back end of that season. But that was one guy, and I feel like it shouldn't have been the case that just by losing Saliba, we lost the league, right? So that year was a big mentality thing for me. What have you learned, or what do you know? Can you share with? I'm asking almost from a personal perspective, and for everybody listening, what would they be telling the guys about the mentality perspective of seeing games out one by one and winning it here to get it done? Because I honestly feel like, BB, if we can win this year, keep the squad together, we can. I don't think we'll necessarily win 4 in a row like City, but I do feel we could win 2 in 4, 3 in 4, maybe a couple in a row. We could win a Champions League, maybe not in a treble sense like City did. I think they're a pretty special team under a special coach. And I think whilst Arteta is brilliant, he's not quite there yet. I think if we can get over the hump for the first one, we're away. And then after this, I've got another question for you as well.
Yeah, that's a good question, and I think a lot of it will go back to those near misses, and the really low points over the past couple of years, and sort of think, remember those, and not only use that as motivation, but also remember how on the ropes we were back then, and think about how different it is now. Like you say, the medical staff say, if you got anything, you come off. Just let us know, come off. We got the squad, we got the confidence in the squad to just replace you and move on to the next one. I think so that builds belief for me. I think working using those near misses, but also realizing that what they've spent the last sort of 5-6 years building has led to this. So much better equipped this season to deal with the crises and the low points over the past 5 years. It's almost like you need those things to be able to build into it. And I think you sort of read little things and hear little anecdotes about Arteta, how just these little things that he does. There was some bloke talking. I saw a clip the other day. He said, I think on a flight or a train or something, and Arteta walks up to the guy. Can't remember the guy's name, but he said, "Did you hear when Eze scored the goal on the weekend?" And the announcer goes, "Eze," and then the crowd goes, "Eze," and then the announcer goes, "Eze." And he goes, "Yeah." The guy goes, "Yeah, it's a really cool thing, really, really like it." And Arteta goes, "It's my idea." Like
Yeah,
it's these
I saw
little
that on
things.
Twitter.
It's these little things like this, and people take the piss out of it. And he talked about getting RAF fighter pilots, I think, in to talk about communication and stuff. But like if you buy into it and you keep winning, then it feeds into this thing of it must be worthwhile, or we're trying things and they're working out because we're still winning. So I think
So,
that's
so
what
this
everything's building up to this season, I believe.
this leads to my next question, and we might have to get this person in for a chat in a few weeks' time, because I've had some vehement arguments with one of my cousins in one of our other chats about this. My question to you is, and I'll give you the context afterwards, what is Arsenal's ceiling this season? His argument is that we've never had a squad like this for a very long time. We should be aiming for a treble minimum or a quadruple. We're good enough. We've been bridesmaids that many times. We should be going for it. My argument, very heavily back, BB, has been our ceiling is, of course, unlimited. What is my pass mark for getting on the roof? For me, it's climbing a 1-story on the ladder and getting on the flattest part of the roof, winning the Premier League, and that's it. If we have a Premier League winning season only, for me, that will be a major success for me. I'll be extremely happy. We've got over the hump. We've shown we can win, what in my mind is the hardest test. I feel like there's too much luck involved, BB, in cups, in Champions League. Like you've got to, we got, Real Madrid last year at a time where they weren't the best Real Madrid team. Yes, we beat them and we deserved to go through. We then played a PSG side where, they went up winning it. We were probably better than them, especially I thought in the second leg away, we were really good. We had the handbrake on first leg. We had some things go against us with a marginal offside goal from Marino in the first leg. That's 1-1. There's all these little things that can go against you in the Champions League. You might FA Cup. Some years, I remember years we've won the FA Cup where we've had, a Hull at home, a Bolton at home, a Brighton at home. Next minute you get to Wembley having played championship sides. And then, here we go. We've ended up with maybe a Man City at worst in the semi, and then there's Hull City again. Or in that year, here's Hull City now in a final, or a crap Aston Villa, right? Whereas in the league, you can't hide. Like, you need to be consistent enough. So that's my question. Well, what is the ceiling, and what would you take as a successful season?
And look, like you say, the ceiling is unlimited. The quadruple is not out of the question. That's like a blue sky ceiling thing, but bare minimum 2 trophies, but one of them has to be the league. The league is the bare minimum, right? We need to win the league this season. We don't. I don't know. I don't even want to think about it. And then I'm not saying the second trophy it'd be beautiful as a Champions League, but FA Cup, like two trophies, but one of them is the league, and look to make a good deep run in the Champions League. But I don't think it's make or break winning the Champions League, although I have seen a lot of talk about that over the past month or so. We're talking like your classic treble, FA Cup, Champions League, and Premier League. 2. I'm going for 2, but one of them absolutely has to be winning the league.
Yeah.
That's
Good.
my
Good.
approach.
I'm glad you agree in that, because I think that's been such a big argument for me, is that it has to be winning the Premier League. I mean, genuinely, a two cup season, a domestic cup especially, would be a massive failure for me. Winning the League Cup, winning the FA Cup together. I mean, yes, on other years you'd be like, okay, cup doubles never the worst, but I think that'd be a massive disappointment. I think the European Cup's just too. You just don't know what you're going to get year on year. You've got a Bayern Munich at the moment that are 15 out of 15 or whatever. They're 13 out of 13 in all competitions, wiping the floor with everybody. Fantastic test for us coming up, but they might just come and beat us and beat us well. And we'll be like, okay, you know what? They play, they're fresher because, respectfully, the Bundesliga does not have the quality and depth of team week to week. They can play by Leverkusen on the weekend like they did, flog them 3-0, and that's one of their only tests, Leverkusen, Dortmund.
Yeah.
That's it, right? So they've got no test. So they can come and be rested and be fresh to take us on in the Champions League, whereas we've had to, grind it out against Palace, go away to Burnley. I just think it's the toughest league in the world by a mile. So winning it should hold far more credit to me than, you win the Farmers of PSG, winning the French league. Sorry, I think it's getting better, the French league, but I don't love it. I think the Bundesliga is fast becoming that, the way that the French league in the last 5 years got the old Farmers tag. The Bundesliga is becoming that. Serie A is quite competitive at the moment, which is good to see. There's about 4 or 5 teams within a point of each other, I think, BB, with Napoli, Roma, Milan, Inter. It's a good league over there. So I don't love that for them. However, they can only beat who's in front of them. But what I mean by that is that you have years where your PSG or your Bayern might run away with it now and just be so strong. Real are definitely better this year. Barcelona on their day can beat us, comfortably in one leg. And we saw that years ago in the Champions League where, we had days where we went and beat Bayern away and go, wow, what an unbelievable result in a second leg. But problem is we've been flogged in the first leg and we're out. That happened with Barcelona multiple times as well. So there's too much that can go wrong in the Cups. You've got to have a lot of luck with quality, whereas in the Premier League, I just don't think you need that. If you're good enough, you beat a Palace 1-0 on the day if you can defend properly. You don't then have to go, oh, well, we didn't take our chances in that 1-0 versus Palace. Now we've got to go away, inverted commas, play Real Madrid away now or Bayern Munich away, and then they have a good day and beat us 2-0, and then you still go out, right? So that's just the difference. So that's got to be the bare minimum for me. But I would be also very content with the Premier League. I wouldn't sit here and go, should have won this and should have won that. Definitely not.
Yeah, no, it's a good point about. I mean, Bayern have won one Champions League in the last sort of 10 years or something like. You go back to 2010, it's like 2 in the last 15.
Yeah.
Obviously, you got your Barca's and your Real Madrids and PSG and stuff. But it's not the same. Like, they're not playing the same football week in, week out as anyone else in the Premier League, right? And I think you sort of see that with Florian Wirtz coming over, with some of those guys that have come over from the Bundesliga and just are obviously not physically
Omar
some
Marmoush,
speed.
you're spot
Yeah,
on.
yeah. Baltimore is probably the only guy, right? That's come over
He's
and
matched it, but he
playing.
hasn't been. Look, they've talked him up, BB, but I don't think he's been brilliant. His numbers aren't off the charts. He scored 4 or 5 goals, which is fine. But Jokeres has scored more than that, and everyone's saying how crap Jokeres is and he can't score. But yet, Baltimore scored 2 less in all comps, and all of a sudden he's a hero. It's like, and there'll be different narratives all the time. But like, I don't think he's been that good. Like, he's been fine. And then Newcastle go to West Ham last night and get flogged. I mean, come on. I mean, it's terrible, right? So there's always different narratives that suit different things. Haaland's the only player who's, I think, you could plug and play anywhere and would be unbelievable because he is a cyborg. He's unbelievable. But the quality of that German player that's come in just hasn't been up there, especially in the attacking sense against proper defenders who can actually, man mark them tactically better and keep them out.
Absolutely, and like you sort of touched on, I think the Serie A has been a tough league the last couple of seasons. It's a high quality league. I overlooked over the past little while, but watching over the past few seasons, it's some good footballers. I know Rafa Leao's been linked to a couple of to a move to the Premier League and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. So yeah, it's an interesting sort of it's an interesting time, sort of shifting sort of things like you say. The French league was the farmers league, I suppose you could say, but then that PSG side last year was played such good football, which was in itself interesting because they had three of the best players for a couple of seasons on the planet, and it wasn't quite what it was.
It never worked, did it? It never
No,
worked, the individual
never
aspects.
quite clicked like it did for them last season. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Look, we've got a couple of minutes left. Let's touch on Liverpool just quickly because I thought they were the worst side in the first sort of 20, 30 minutes. Obviously,
Comfortably.
they
Comfortably.
they they repelled
Don't
those
listen to any
efforts.
Liverpool gibber telling you that they were better. They were not. They were
They
not
were,
better, mate. Aston
they
Villa
were
were
on the
far
ropes
better.
for a while.
If Roger scores in that first 15, 20 minutes, I genuinely believe Anfield gets on their backs and they go on to drop points because that's what I think, mate. Keen to hear what you think, but I thought I'm not going to say they're lucky. They'll definitely much better second half,
Yeah,
and looked good. The crowd got behind them, but on another day they could have easily dropped points against a Villa side that when Emery gets it right, they're quite good.
yeah. I don't think it's obviously a bit of a pressure release, a little valve there. Um, people were starting to sort of say how much longer can this go on under Arne Slot. So obviously, yeah, like I said, you lose four in a row, win one, and you're third in the league. It's not going all that bad, but yeah, they didn't play great. There's a lot of Liverpool fans going, "Oh, this is it. We're back," and all this kind of stuff. I certainly don't think that's the case. Similarly, Man United, 2-2 against Nottingham Forest, and the first goal is, have you seen it? It went out for a corner, and
It
Forest
was
are
in. It was in.
agreed. Yeah, agreed. But it only takes 2 minutes, and Forest score twice and take a lead. So I think the five Manchester United winning five in a row. We were looking all. It was going to be that Tottenham game in a couple of weeks, which is going to be the one. So we're starting over with that again. Yeah, interesting. Lastly, before we wrap up, Tottenham. They were atrocious. They were atrocious against
Tell me,
Chelsea.
baby. I didn't watch it. Tell me.
Oh, just the expected goals was something like it was 0.05 or point 0.4, like it was the lowest you could like imagine. No clear chances on goal. I think maybe they had a couple of hit and hope chances. Um, they were all over the joint. Chelsea were fine. Chelsea were okay, but didn't set the world alight. But again,
Just
look, let me bring up the table because they're fifth on they're fifth on the ladder. So
it's their away form which has saved them, BB. I think they're
exactly.
literally 4 wins and a draw, I think, away from home, and they're 1 win and 4 losses at home. I think they're atrocious, mate. Just quickly before we wrap up, and because next week we'll be speaking just after the big one of the weekend. How do you think City and Liverpool goes down? I think it's massively in City's favourites at the Etihad. I think it was at Anfield. I could definitely see a draw or even Liverpool edging it, but I think City have a massive advantage playing at home.
Yeah, I'm back in City. I think I don't know, the vibe there is a little bit different. I think Liverpool, although they won, I don't think they're clear of these troubles. I still think the guys are still fitting into the league, like we mentioned, Verts. I still don't know what their best side is. I still think there's issues with Isak when he plays.
Mhm.
Um, City, although we sort of mention every week, right, that they're pretty reliant on Haaland scoring, but as long as it's working, then it's fine. And he usually scores like over the part, not just the season. He just scores goals, right? So I'm backing, I reckon, City 2-0 at home, which yeah, as long as we win, as long as Arsenal keep winning, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, but an Arsenal win and a 0-0 draw up there would, I think, probably be ideal. Um,
Good
but
prediction.
yeah,
I think a lot
what
of
do
it's
you?
going to be BB how Slot sets out. If Slot sets out and has a massive go at it, I think they can get punished at the back where they've been weak this year. I think he'll have to go there and go, look, we've got to be defensively stable. Like we can't afford to be as open as we have because City won't allow us to score three, and that's what
Yeah,
they've sort of needed this year to win games is three or four or two. I mean, Villa, should have scored, didn't, so they won with two. But if in the case of the City game, I think he'll definitely go out there and go a point's not a bad result because I think if you slot, you lose, and if we beat Sunderland the day before, that'll dictate what happens a little bit because he'll then know if we lose, we're 10 back.
mm,
Geez, that's a massive bridge to cover with close to a third of the season gone. So that'll dictate it, which is part of the narratives of the Premier League. If we can beat Sunderland, doesn't matter how. Then I think you'll see a slightly different approach from both managers. If we drop points, I can then potentially see Guardiola and City going for the throat and going, okay, if we win, we're back within 4 or 3. We've really got to go for this. So it'll make for a fascinating weekend.
give me a score update. Give me a score prediction before we wrap this up.
I'm gonna go 1-1. I'm gonna go 1-1. I think both teams, if they're level at half time or getting into the second half, both of them will know that a loss could be fatal. So I think you'll see a draw and both teams shaking hands and going, we're better off fighting another day. I'm gonna go 1-1.
Beautiful. Steve Peios will wrap it up there. Another week top of the league for Arsenal. We'll do it again next week.
Great week, mate. Come on, boys. We go again next week.